Good afternoon, everyone. We will begin the meeting shortly. Please use the chat box to share your name, job title, and affiliated organization as more folks are coming in. Good afternoon and welcome to the January 30th Community of Practice meeting. On behalf of the State of California and the Department of Technology, we thank you for being here. Before we begin, a few housekeeping items. Next slide, please. Presenters, please cue Ricky to advance your slides. Select side-by-side speaker mode for the best viewing experience when slides are shared and for visibility of the ASL interpreters. We have seen requests for closed captioning in our pre-registration questions, so I want to take some time to remind folks that closed captioning is available by selecting CC Closed Caption on your toolbar and select Show Subtitle. If you cannot find it, please click the icon with the 3 dots for more options. Q&A. Please note there is time allocated for questions. Use the Q&A box to type your questions related to that portion of the agenda while the presenter is presenting. Use the raise hand icon on Zoom or *9 if you're calling in by phone. Our team will request that you come off mute and video. Feel free to turn on your mic and video at that time. Chat will be off while the presenters are speaking so that no questions are lost in the chat. Chat will be available when prompted. This meeting is being recorded. We will be posting the recording, slides, and transcripts of this meeting to the Broadband for All portal. Use the QR code listed on your screen or click on the link in the chat to access the post-meeting materials from past events. Because of this, AI note-taking bots are not permitted and will be removed from the meeting. Next slide, please. The Digital Equity Community of Practice aims to foster alignment, coordination, and collaboration within the statewide digital equity ecosystem. These convenings will take place on a monthly basis, feature guest speakers, subject matter and community experts on panels, as we're doing today, and share information and best practices. Agendas will be driven by relevance and partner input as you've done through the pre-registration questions. So thank you. Next slide, please. The Community of Practice focuses on Goals 2, affordability and device access, and Goal 3, digital inclusion and adoption of the Broadband for All Action Plan, which are carried forward in the State Digital Equity Plan. Next slide, please. Thus, in order to have meaningful bidirectional dialogue, only questions and comments regarding agenda topics will be addressed. The chat will be monitored by our staff, and disruptive behaviors will not be tolerated. Individuals who continue these disruptive behaviors will be removed from the meeting. Next slide. Today's agenda will begin with welcome remarks from CDT Deputy Director of Broadband and Digital Literacy, Scott Adams. Sean Doherty, Principal at Broadband Equity Partnership, will present the latest information on the Digital Equity Resource Survey findings. Next, OBDL Digital Inclusion Manager Araceli Hernandez will facilitate a guest panel on library digital inclusion programs. Following the panel, we will hear from Lloyd Nguyen from the California Public Utilities Commission to share an update on the California Lifeline Home Broadband Pilot Program. Then, Broadband Administrative Manager James Spencer will share updates on the Request for Innovative Ideas, or RFI Squared. Manager Araceli Hernandez will highlight upcoming grant opportunities. Lastly, Engagement and Operations Manager Nguyen will close today's convening by summarizing feedback received from the pre-registration questions and share upcoming Community of Practice dates in 2026. After each agenda portion, Anne will facilitate the discussion. With that, I would like to introduce Deputy Director Scott Adams.
Thank you, Amanda, and welcome everybody to the first State Digital Equity Community and Practice of the Year. We're very thankful for your partnership and collaboration as we continue to move forward and implement Broadband for All in the State Digital Equity Plan. We do note that there's a lot going around. Both, our communities in the state and the nation. So we thank you for being here, um, and, extend our empathy to, our fellow citizens, and residents. Um, Next slide, please. I just really wanted to set the tone in our first meeting for this year. Obviously, the primary focus of what we hope to do with this community practice is really, as Amanda said, on the engagement side through the community of practice, continue to really uh, foster alignment, coordination, and collaboration amongst our really large and varied and diverse but committed ecosystem. To the extent we can, work with folks to provide tools and resources to support ongoing efforts. Particularly today, you're going to hear about the findings of the resource survey and developments to revamp the Digital Equity Resource Finder. And then partnerships, brief update on the request for innovative ideas. Next slide, please. So, what we really want to do at the top is, because this is a community practice, acknowledging efforts and, a place to share best practices. We wanted to uplift and celebrate a number of California communities and, tribal entity with HOOPA, who've been acknowledged by the National Digital Inclusion Alliance for their work to provide excellent models of digital inclusion in their community. And so, yeah, I see the hand claps here. I think we should all, doff our hats, clap our hands, say a hurrah, and really acknowledge the visionary leaders here, the city and county of San Francisco, city of Fairfield, city of Long Beach, Oakland, San Diego, San Jose, Vacaville, Solano, and Los Angeles. And then you've got city of Palmdale, the Housing Authority of the City of LA, and the Yuba Valley Utility District. We really applaud your efforts. Looking forward to continue to partner, learn from you all, and coordinate and collaborate. Next slide, please. And I think one other announcement we wanted to make sure to amplify here. Obviously, there's a gap with the termination of the Digital Equity Act programs, but there are continue to be positive developments on the on the horizon, if you will. And so, if you haven't heard, did want to note that a big development happened here on January 15th. The Public Utilities Commission approved the Verizon Frontier merger. They came with three public benefit agreements for Cal Advocates, the California Emerging Technology Fund, and the Communication Workers of America. I think, for us on the infrastructure side, that's really exciting. You can see in the boxes here, we've kind of summarized that. On the affordability side, Verizon's committing to participate in the CPUC broadband pilot. And then I think a real positive development for the ecosystem here is a $50 million contribution to the California Emerging Technology Fund to continue working within the DE ecosystem on their work and workforce training with the CSUs. So, wanted to start the top of this meeting with some celebration and some good news potentially on the resources for the ecosystem. And that concludes my presentation, and look forward to a really good meeting. Looking forward to our panel.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Scott. Before we move forward, I want to pause here to see if there's any questions from our audience. I haven't seen any in the chat and not any in the Q&A box either, Scott. So if it's okay with you all, we can move on to introduce Oh, I do see a hand. Wanted to make sure, yes, if that's okay, let's take your question real quick. Oh, go ahead, Otokonda.
Yeah, my question is, will the broadband be only for public institution, or will it be for the whole community at large, like business, small business, homes, and all the private, equity firms?
Thank you for the goals of broadband for all that Amanda highlighted is it's really broadband for all. The state's commitment is around three goals, and that's high performance broadband for all residents at home, schools, libraries, and businesses. Um, Access to affordable services and devices, and then access to skills and training to enable digital inclusion. So this you know, umbrella of interrelated and interdependent programs is focused, not just on residents, but on businesses, schools, libraries, and commercial entities as well. Thanks for the question.
Thanks for the question, and thanks, Scott, for hopping back on. Next, I would like to introduce Sean Doherty, principal at the Broadband Equity Partnership, to talk more about the Digital Equity Resources Survey findings.
Great.
Sean?
Thanks, Anne. Yeah, Ricky, you can just head to the next slide. So we just wanted to update you on where we are with the development of the refined Digital Equity Resource Survey. As many hopefully will recall, we released the survey last year and closed it earlier this month. And at the time of closing, and we've gone through some data cleaning and deduplication and just those normal efforts, we've received responses from 191 organizations that provide services to residents and 154 entities that provide services to other organizations. And obviously some organizations provide services to both residents and organizations. So there is an overlap there, but we were really thrilled to see such a high level of response from the community. We worked with 24 entities on some bulk upload request forms. So those are entities that had more than 5 physical locations, and we're so pleased to see the response there. And so what we have in our survey to date is a total of 796 location or service locations. And so you can kind of see that in the green box there. And in the blue set of boxes, you can see kind of how they're broken down. We had really tremendous response from the libraries, heard from 44 different library entities, totaling over 500 locations, acknowledging some city and county library systems have a number of locations. Fantastic. We had great response from CBOs, from the consortia, and then obviously from other entities providing services. So as of right now, we're at 796 total locations, and we heard from over 190 different respondents. And Ricky, you can go to the next slide. And this is really just a different visual of it. Sorry, yeah, that one. Great. Thank you. Just mapping it out. And I think one thing that's very clear to us is there are locations and responses from every county. So we're really thrilled to see the statewide coverage of all these digital inclusion services that are being provided. And then on the next slide, this is just kind of a snapshot of what the pages will look like. So obviously, this is the resource finder. We'll have the search capabilities of whether you're looking for supports as a resident or to support an organization. All of the specific services that we inquired about, whether your organization served or not, are part of the filter and search functionalities. You can search by county that you're located in, or maybe digital skills, things of that nature. And then we have a really clean, crisp display of entities below, whether they're virtual or the physical location, if they're in person. We have the brief snippets, and then when you click on those on the Learn More box, that will accordion out. So we're going through kind of a quality assurance, quality check process right now. I'm getting some really great feedback from some partners in this work, and so hope to have this out soon. But just wanted to let you know that we're making great progress and excited to push this out to the community soon. Scott, I don't know if you wanted to come back on or if there's any questions from the community on this.
Yeah, Sean, thanks for your update. And I'm wondering, our goal right now, you mentioned we're doing the data normalization and the cleaning and kind of making sure the back end works with the front end. We're also working to include the mapping feature as well, are we not?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. And what's our tentative? What are we looking towards, getting that?
Hopefully we'll be doing a demo this time next month.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Scott and Sean. We do have one question in the chat. Hopefully, bear with me as I read it. From Anthony, will the survey open again? Are you hoping to add agencies on a continuous basis? Do you close the survey just to clean it up, or is it closed to responses for good? I'm excited to see all the adult schools listed, and there are many more we would like to see added. Thanks.
Yes, we will open the survey back up. We kind of had that initial intake of data to clean, create the new resource finder for you all. But once it is up and live, there will be a button on there where resources will be able to be continuously added, as well as an ability for entities to update their uh, uh, their card, so to speak. So if, staffing happens to change or you add another location, all of the information within the portal will be continuously updated.
Yeah, and can I just add to that too? I think that was Anthony Burrick's number. Team, if possible, I'd like to not wait until the site goes live to for entities to submit their information. So if you're interested, team, could we put the Dean email in the chat? And I think one thing that could help us segregate this first round of data from ongoing data, particularly if you're in a system, an entity, an organization that provides in-person services, in multiple locations. Our staff could potentially work with you to provide a bulk upload, and we could, get multiple locations up quickly.
Thanks, Scott. I think Anthony has a follow-up question, so I'll read that too if it's a quick one. Sorry, isn't it live already? And you linked the current D resource finder. Maybe I don't understand what exactly you're working on. So Sean, if you or
Sure.
Scott can
Yeah.
clarify.
So we're working to make that resource better. The initial DEEM resource that is up there was compiled with data in service of developing the state digital equity plan. And so now we're looking to refine it and to be able to offer that mapping functionality and feature that Scott mentioned, so that if someone goes on there, they can see what services are located closest to them. Before it was kind of more of a broad list, but now we hope to make it a really useful tool for digital navigators, for individuals looking for personal supports or supports for family members, for community-based organization staff supporting people in their communities. And just we're hoping to take it from version 1.0 to hopefully like 5.0. So the information on there is still completely valid. It's just going to be a much more refined and useful and hopefully extensive tool.
Thanks, Sean. And I missed this question earlier in the chat from Paul. How can we check to see if our company is in the database you just showed?
Probably by emailing that Deem email address, Scott.
Well, Sure. I think the one thing that you would know is that you would be in the next iteration if you participated in the survey. If you can't remember if you did or not, you could email our team and we could check for you. But the new version won't be live until Sean provides the demo and the team launches it sometime at the end of next month.
Okay. Thank you so much, Scott and Sean. I'm not seeing any more questions in the chat or Q&A, so I would like to manager Araceli Hernandez to introduce our guest panel.
Thank you so much, Anne. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Araceli Hernandez, Digital Inclusion Manager with the Office of Broadband and Digital Equity. Thank you all for being here today for our first Communities of Practice. As Sean shared, we are seeing great responses from the Digital Equity Resource Survey, and we're pleased to see libraries are well represented. As we learned in the digital equity planning process, libraries are trusted messengers for residents. So it's no surprise to see the significant response from libraries across geographic regions in the resource survey. It's also great to see so many libraries playing a critical role in this current funding climate, providing digital equity resources and services to residents in their communities. Joining us today, we have 3 guest panelists, each representing different geographic regions across the state of California. We'll have a few questions to kick off the panel discussion, allocating about a minute for each panelist, just so that we leave some time at the end to get some questions from the audience. So it's my pleasure to introduce Amy Crow. She's the Assistant Regional Administrator with the LA County Library. We also have Christopher Diaz, who's the Library Marketing and Community Relations Officer with Solano County Library. And we also have Faye Giffen, who's the Principal Librarian, Community Engagement with Fresno County Library, joining us here today. Thank you all so much for being here and welcome. So to get us started with the first question, where does digital literacy and inclusion fall within your library system's mission priorities? Please tell us about your digital inclusion programs and how do you sustain them? Let me know if anyone wants to kick us off.
I can go first. So for my county, Solano County, our library system, part of our mission statement is that we spark curiosity and champion learning. Today, most learning opportunities occur online and digitally. So those that are unable to access these digital avenues of information are far more limited than those who can. A community that is digital literate is able to pursue creative and educational goals more efficiently and effectively. So digital literacy is integral to our mission.
Hi,
Thank you so
everyone.
much, Chris.
And I can
Go ahead,
just hop
Amy.
in. Literacy is one of the core services that we provide for LA County Library. We use it to focus our work across our 86 locations throughout LA County. And we broadly define literacy, so it encompasses not just story time, but also digital literacy, tech support. We're also charged by our Board of Supervisors in LA County to work towards closing the digital divide. And I know we have a population advantage in LA County, but I'm really proud to see how dark blue our county is and represented in the engagement with the Digital Equity Resource Survey. This county is really, really committed from leadership all the way down to working towards closing the divide. We know that in our county, as in everywhere, the predominantly Black and Latino communities are disproportionately impacted by lack of access, and to high-speed broadband. And so we really see the work of our library in part being infrastructural. So we are providing high-speed broadband at all of our locations across LA County. We're connected to the Scenic Network, and we have FCC funding to do an upgrade this year. So we'll continue to have excellent connectivity speeds. We got ARPA funding to extend our Wi-Fi to the perimeters of our parking lots at almost all of our locations, and that's a 24/7 resource at our libraries. And then we do a lot of support in the sort of programming arena that's both formal in coursework, but we also, as well as sort of one-on-one individualized instruction to help with digital literacy skills.
That's really awesome to hear, Amy. Yeah, I hear there's a lot of one-on-one support. There's some different programs and services that are tied directly to your mission, and of course ensuring that we're serving underserved populations. Faye, do you have anything else to add?
Yes, and in Fresno County, technology is actually listed as a core service in our strategic plan. And because of that, we would consider access to technology and digital technology to be sort of under the purview of every one of our teams and departments in Fresno County Public Library. So whether it's sort of written into our facilities plans through offering Wi-Fi, computer labs, free access to computer lab scanners, printers, whether it's through our e-collection and making that a priority for our collection development, through our outreach, making sure when we go out to outreach, individuals know about the technology services that are available to them through Fresno County Public Library, through our programming, as Amy mentioned in LA County, whether that is like sort of formal programming or whether that is one-on-one technology tutoring and services becoming a really important part of our of how we interact with patrons and how we think of reference questions. We sort of have a saying, a joke, that the computer lab has become the new reference desk in a lot of our libraries. And that is where a lot of our constituents come in, and they really need help and they really need support. And so that's become a big priority area for our librarians.
That's awesome, and I know a lot of libraries have some really, really great computer labs that serve, a variety of students, different populations, different groups. Can you tell us more? How do your digital inclusion programs and services help meet the needs of your residents? If you want to, talk a little bit more about specific populations or just overall residents, that would be really helpful.
I could jump in on this. In Fresno County, we have a population, or in our county, we have both very urban areas. We have a lot of suburban areas, and then we have some small towns and cities, but then we also have a lot of rural areas. And one of the ways that we are constantly pushing, and we know is very important to our community, is to bring access, especially to rural communities. A lot of times rural communities just lack the infrastructure for people to have as much access as in their homes. And so being able to provide things like Wi-Fi in our building is very important. Our Wi-Fi is actually open from 6 to 10, so it far exceeds our hours of operations, meaning people can come into our parking lots and they can use our Wi-Fi again to do homework, to log on, to access information. And then also we've had a real push to expand our digital collection, which I think which helps a lot as an access issue. Not everybody has the physical ability to come into a library as often as they'd like, and expanding that digital collection really helps those patrons of ours that are not able to visit a library branch, or where visiting a library branch is just not the best way for them to connect to services. And so expanding those collections through ebooks, online databases, streaming video, streaming music services has really helped bring some of our patrons into the library system who might otherwise kind of struggle to get to a branch.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Faye. Appreciate you sharing like some really concrete examples. That's really helpful to hear, what's happening even beyond libraries closing and in parking lots. So that's really great to hear. Sorry, Amy, go ahead.
Yeah, I just would like to amplify Faye's comment about access. I think that public libraries are sort of the baseline access points in many communities across the state. They're for our community members who don't have access at home or who are maybe unhoused community members. And the public library is the location of resort that does not require users to purchase anything to have access to high-speed broadband internet. And so that's been really important to us to prioritize reducing the barriers to getting that access to broadband as a critical service, a critical need to have for daily life in the 21st century. I'd also like to uplift that our library staff are bridges across the digital divide. There's a lot of discussion about digital navigators, which is wonderful to see. And I would like to emphasize how much frontline public library staff at all levels have been ad hoc, informal digital navigators for years for individuals who maybe don't have family members that they can turn to for help, are not comfortable going to family members, who don't have other means of getting access to the help that they need to use, even simple, basic, quotidian online resources. That public library staff are doing that work day in and day out and have been for years.
Great. And Chris, do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, so for just like everyone else, I mean, two of our biggest like issues with digital literacy when it comes to that and inclusion, it's basically a lack of access, and it's going to be a lack of instruction in how to use digital materials and how do you navigate the internet and everything like that. For our county, we have a Wi-Fi hot. We allow patrons to check out Wi-Fi hotspots so that they have access not only in our libraries but at home as well. Unfortunately, we've had to scale that back quite a bit in the last year, but we still do have a program that helps low-income individuals check out a Wi-Fi hotspot for up to a year, and then they can keep that, use it at home. So we are doing our best to provide access not only in the library but outside. And as far as instruction is concerned, we noticed in the library, all of our library staff is constantly having to help people at the library with on our public computers, and we noticed a lot of these things are kind of basic common knowledge for a lot of us. However, for a huge section of the population, it's not so much. We've gone as far as partnering with local senior centers and rec centers in order to bring uh, our digital instruction to them. Not only do we offer digital literacy programs within the library that you could sign up for or tutoring, but we also just go straight into the public and we go where we're most needed, which are places where older adults tend to have the most struggle with digital literacy. Um, so yeah, we're doing our best to reach as many people as we can to kind of shorten that divide for literacy.
Yeah, no, and I'm definitely hearing too that digital navigators, whether formal or informal, play a really big role, and the importance of access. Chris, you kind of touch on the next question that I have in terms of partnerships. Can you tell us how important are partnerships to your digital inclusion work? Providing some key examples as to the importance of these partnerships that you're having.
Definitely. So we know that, especially in our county, transportation, we don't have a very robust public transportation system here. So transportation to a physical library can be a pretty big barrier to access to instruction and to services. So for our digital like literacy instruction events, we've partnered with local senior centers and rec centers. So we serve a number of cities. We have outreach scheduled monthly in almost every city in our county, where we go to local senior centers for a few hours. We work with the senior centers. They promote our program within their buildings so that way all of the people who go there know exactly when we're going to be there, what time, what to expect, what equipment they need to bring, depending on whatever questions they may have, whether it's a laptop, a cell phone. I used to work these. I once had a person bring in a VCR player because they didn't need help programming that. But yeah, our library staff help with whatever we can. And yeah, just working with others to bring programs out into the public for us is the biggest thing because transportation can sometimes be a difficult barrier.
Thank you for sharing. Anyone else?
I could add that our partnerships with our local schools are very important to us as well. Kids, if you talk to the average fifth grader, they're more digital literate than I am right now. And but it's so important. But there's the technical aspect of digital literacy, but then there's also learning how to interpret information online that kids are coming across, learning how to be a smart receiver of information and how to sort of distinguish between good sources and bad sources. And so we feel that partnering with our schools is very important in making sure that students are coming out of school not only with like the technical skills to access information, but they have that ability to be discerning consumers of information. And so we have partnerships with our local schools through Sora. So local students can get a library card and use our digital collections through Sora, and that's been very important to us as well.
And I'd also like to add that for LA County, we've been really had a great success with interdepartmental collaboration. So as one of 37 departments in the operation of Los Angeles County, we've had a fantastically productive partnership with our internal services department. And I know some of my colleagues in that department are on this call. We've been able to offer digital assistant interns at our libraries in partnership with them. We have been able to host dozens of free laptop giveaways, and thousands of laptops have been given away. And even as that partnership is sort of reconfiguring and changing shape because of the larger impact of federal funding changes. We're getting creative in partnerships with other departments as well. So currently we're launching a partnership with our Public Works department that is going to be hosting Fix-It clinics at our libraries, which could even be expanding towards fixing small electronic devices that will then allow residents in our communities to get access in ways that they weren't able to when they thought their devices were broken, or their devices were broken in a simple way that could be fixed. So we're always on the lookout for ways that we can leverage kind of the resources that we have within other county departments to kind of keep things local, looking at the kind of larger challenges that we face.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. And I really appreciate you all for sharing the importance of partnerships, and, whether they're big or small, right? Going to your local schools, or, partnering with local city, county departments. Yeah, I think this is very exciting to hear. I know we're close to wrapping up and opening it up to the audience, but how can CDT, the Department of Technology, the Office of Broadband and Digital Literacy, and other ecosystem partners support libraries in delivering digital inclusion programs and these types of services to your communities?
I'd love to kick this one off by saying, please help us publicize the work that libraries are doing in this space already, and encourage your constituents, your clients, your customers to use library resources. That's how we keep library resources, is by using them. And then my second call to action would be advocate for the public libraries in California to be a central player in the digital inclusion work, and direct funding our ways whenever possible. We are like the best return on investment, I think. So, please be vocal about supporting public libraries and doing work in this space.
I'd really like to echo Amy's call for advocacy. Public libraries are in need of advocacy right now, both in just a general sense of letting the public know we are still here, we are used by millions and millions of people, and we have so many more services than a lot of people who don't engage with the public libraries on a daily basis are really aware of. It's a constant battle to just be like, yes, people use the library, and yes, we have more than just books, and the books themselves are wonderful, and we have so many of them. And so advocacy on that level, but also advocacy about what communities will lose if they lose their public library, and that for a lot of communities, they are in real danger of losing their public libraries. And that is not a small thing for a community to lose. So that advocacy, all the help we can get there is really appreciated. And another thing that I know Fresno County Public Library is always looking for support in. Amy had mentioned this before, that both our librarians, our frontline staff, all of us, we've kind of had to become ad hoc technology experts, because that is what people are coming in asking about. And we're always looking for additional training support, whether it is aimed directly at the public through public trainings and support, or aimed at staff about how helping staff become better equipped at keeping up with all the technological changes that patrons will come in and ask them about. I remember my frontline staff days, and sometimes people would come in with a brand new smartphone, and you're like, I have never seen this before. And but it changes so quickly, and the questions you get will range from like very, very complicated, high level, like database questions to my grandchildren got me this tablet and I don't know how to turn it on. And so any level of training support, again, whether it's aimed at the public through public programs or whether it's aimed at staff, is something that I feel a lot of libraries are in need of.
Thank you. And Faye, I know you mentioned this a little bit, right? So training, not just for staff, but also for like the general public. And again, we're, focusing on digital inclusion, digital literacy. Is that like the primary focus area for you?
Yes, and then also one we get a lot is training on new devices. Again, people will often be given a smartphone, a tablet, devices, and how device interfaces change really quickly, and that can be something that is that a lot of our patrons struggle with.
Thank you. Chris, how about you?
Yeah, same thing that Amy and Faye said. I would just like to build a little bit more on top of that, and just say, you know, when it comes to us, our primary thing is we would love like library staff. I think Faye and Amy would agree with me on this. Like are stretched very thin and are getting stretched thinner these days. So it's not that we don't want to just keep providing more and more services, especially digital literacy services. But we just don't have the bandwidth at this time. I mean, like I said, I mentioned we go to like one senior center in each community like once a month. We would love to do it more, but we can't. We don't have the staffing. For us, for I would say the biggest thing that we would love support on is if you're an nonprofit organization, a business, just an individual, reach out if possible to your local library system and see if there's a way you can volunteer, help us set up like a consistent workshop or something like that where we can have consistent programming and events for people to come in to learn how to use digital, devices, the internet, and everything like that. We can only do so much by ourselves. We would love some help. We would love to partner with whoever to get this done. But it's usually always within like our local community. So wherever you are, reach out to your local library, see if you can spare a few hours every month. Any little bit would help. That's my call out for help.
And
Yeah,
to
definitely hearing. Go ahead, Faye.
Just to piggyback on what Christopher was saying, the libraries we love outreach. We love getting out into the community. We can't possibly have enough physical buildings to service the community, and we know that, and we know it's not realistic. So we love getting out to the community. We love outreach and outreach support in both the form of actual Fresno County Public Library has a very old digibus that we are talking about, like how we're going to upgrade it and replace it with a newer vehicle. But then also, if you are a local agency, senior center, apartment complex, after school program, parks and recs department, getting into any place that has a room, getting in touch with your local library and reaching out to us. Sometimes we just don't have the staff and the bandwidth to reach out to everybody and get the ball rolling on everything, but we want to be working with you.
Thank you. Thank you for the call to action. And yes, it's really important that we continue to support our libraries. I do want to make sure that we open up the floor to see if we have any questions. And are there any questions in the Q&A or chat at the moment? We can also ask folks to raise their hand and go off mute, and you can go ahead and ask then.
Thanks, Araceli. I don't see any in Q&A, but Gerald Smith did write question in the chat. So wanted to make sure, Gerald, if you want to speak, please unmute yourself or type your question in the chat. Go ahead, Gerald. Think like I think there may be technical difficulty, Araceli. I would say I'll circle back with Gerald offline in the chat and you can move on.
Looks like Gerald is unmuted.
Oh, there's Gerald.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, thank you. Hey, I'm new to the digital equity and was just gathering some information and noticed that the focus seems to be mainly on Los Angeles, Fresno, San Francisco, and Sonoma County. How about the high desert and the low desert and Coachella and Mecca and Rancho Mirage out here? These poor kids need help too, and we're in the position to help them. We're based right here in the desert, and would like to be an active part of it. So I'm just trying to gather information and figure out how to become part of that.
I
Thank
would
you.
encourage you to reach out to Riverside County Library. Palm Springs, the city of Palm Springs also runs its own library system. So there's work being done. And even if you'd like to reach out to us in LA County, we do serve the Antelope Valley. We have a library in Lancaster, we have a library in Quartzsville, we have a library in Lake Los Angeles. So for the high desert, we have some presence there from LA County as well. So please feel free. I can make sure to get my email address to you if you'd like to be in touch with us. And I encourage you to contact my colleagues in Riverside County, also at the city libraries in the Coachella, Palm Springs area.
Mr. Smith, and just to let you know, Broadband for All is this ecosystem is supporting the entire state. And so while the panel, we try to have some geographic diversity, want to let you know that Riverside County is well represented here on the call. I saw Tom Mullen from Riverside County. And thank you for the reminder. We try to be as represented we can in these communities of practice, and just we'd love to have representatives from all library systems, but we're trying to give a sample here.
Great. Well, thank you so much. This does conclude the panel discussion on library digital inclusion programs. Thank you so much, Amy. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Faye, for representing your communities and for sharing, the instrumental resources that you offer for residents across California or specific to your region. We do definitely have partnerships across, the state, and so we encourage you all to reach out to your local library if you would like to support, volunteer, see what offers, digital inclusion offers they have. So yeah, thank you all again for joining us and for the great work that you do for your communities. Thank you so much. I'll pass it back to Anne.
Thanks, Araceli. Very quickly too, I would like to introduce our next speaker, Ms. Loy Nguyen from the California Public Utilities Commission, to provide an update on the recently launched California Lifeline Home Broadband Pilot Program. Loy?
Thank you, Anne. Thank you to CDT for inviting the CPUC back to provide updates on our home broadband pilot. Next slide, please. Okay, we have some updates on our key milestones. On January 23rd, we published the draft resolution T7903 for comments. The draft resolution establishes a registration process for local agencies to participate in the home broadband pilot program. Local agency is any agency of local government authorized by law to provide broadband internet access service as defined by Government Code Section 53167E. With the draft resolution, the public comments are due on February 12th, and the reply comments are due on February 17th. January 26th was the official pilot launch date. That is for current California Lifeline service providers or any service providers with commission-issued certificate of public convenience and necessity or wireless ID registration. On February 26, 2026, the commission agenda meeting will be held. This is when the commission will vote on the draft resolution. If approved, local agencies can register with the commission by following the process outlined in the resolution. At the end of my presentation, I will share the draft resolution for those that have not received it. You can read it, and there are and feel free to provide public comments to that. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, I have to admit, when the commission approved the Lifeline Home Broadband pilot in August of last year, we didn't know if any providers would show interest. And we are excited to now be working with, it states 13, but we just got an update of 15 providers. We approved, we have received 15 advice letter. We have approved 3. Comcast Phone of California, Ducor, and Sierra Telephone Company have been approved. And for those that are currently being pending review, we have Bright House Network, Charter, Calaveras Telephone Company, CalOR, Forest Hill, Herman, Pinnacles, Ranch Wi-Fi, Cisco, Time Warner. The 2 additional are the Ponderosa and Volcano telephone companies. We have consumer resources. The date on the consumer resource shows February 1st, but it actually has been changed to February 2nd. So on Monday, February 2nd, the California Lifeline website will be updated to include approved internet service providers, and their plans will be available for consumers to search for providers in their area. The California Lifeline website provides program information in 7 languages, including English, Spanish, Chinese, Korean, Japanese, Vietnamese, and Tagalog. Since the home broadband pilot is a voluntary program, internet service providers must initiate the process to participate. If an internet service provider is not participating in your area, the pilot is unfortunately not available. Okay, now before we take audience questions, I want to address questions that were submitted through the registration questionnaire. The first question was, does Lifeline program have in-language materials for community members, such as a one-pager? We do not have in-language materials available as flyers. The Lifeline website is a valuable resource as it helps community members find approved service providers for not only internet service, but mobile and wireless services based on their website. And the website supports the different languages that may be applicable to the members' needs. The other question was, would a current member of the participating service provider automatically be qualified and be enrolled in the program? Now, if the current member's existing service provider is approved to participate in the pilot, the member will need to notify their service provider to switch the service. However, if their service provider is not participating in the pilot, but is an approved internet service provider is available, the member must initiate the enrollment process. This situation will be classified as a transfer, which will automatically qualify them. For the other questions, I'm going to ask Lisa Anthony, who works in our program's operations section, will explain the application process, eligibility notifications, and reimbursement details. Lisa?
Hello, thanks, Loy. And I apologize. I don't know what on my screen, I look very blurry. I don't know if you see the same, but my apologies if for some reason I am blurry. I am going to attempt to answer some of the questions that we received around operations, around the application process, how a customer finds out if they're eligible, and around reimbursement details. Just a heads up, this can get very technical. So I do want to note that once a service provider is approved, they will go through an onboarding process with a third-party administrator, Maximus. So they will get very detailed instructions on how the process will work. So I will cover at a high level, but just want to put out there that a service provider will be onboarded and get training and very detailed information for each of these questions. The first question was around when will customers be able to apply and what is the application process? So as Loy mentioned, the pilot is live. So as of today, people can apply. They can apply right now if they are working with an approved broadband pilot provider. So that is the important piece. An individual has to be working with a provider that is already approved. And as Loy mentioned, there are 3 currently. So as of Monday, an individual could go onto the CaliforniaLifeline.com website and they could search. There's a provider search. So they could click on that and they could input their zip code and it will populate the approved broadband providers in their area. So if there is one that pops up for them, then they could apply automatically by going to that provider and starting the process. So that provider, they could, again, I'm going to go real high level here because it would be very technical, but they could take all of the individual's information electronically and submit it over to the TPA, who would then pretty much real time with their database connection be able to, for the majority of individuals, give a real time determination. So a service provider could have a customer in front of them. They could have submitted the application and within minutes be able to say, great, you're eligible. So that's one way, through the electronic process, submitting it right there. Another way could be that a customer says, great, I want to sign up. Can you send me an application to my home? That service provider would send the information over to the TPA and say, this person wants an application, which will trigger an application to be printed and mailed to that individual. And we send it out in a nice big pink envelope so that it stands out. And that individual could fill it out by hand and send it back in a prepaid return envelope that we send with it. Or they could go online and finish the application online if they prefer to do that. They would then, from there, the third-party administrator would do the same thing they did if it was submitted the other way. They will evaluate and see if they can make a determination. And from there, they will approve or deny it. Once they approve or deny it, they will let the service provider know via the way that they're set up with that database to database connection. And they will also let the customer know via the email that they provided through the application process. So they will know from the TPA and also from their service provider who's working with them. They will both get the update and they'll know if they are eligible or not. The next question we got was around, and it kind of falls hand in hand, how a customer will be notified if they are eligible. So there's a piece that when they're working with the service provider and starting the application, the service provider will likely have a very good idea if that person is eligible. So they could probably say, you're in a qualifying program such as CalFresh or you're on Medi-Cal, you should qualify, but they won't be officially deemed as they are eligible and enrolled until they get that approval from the third-party administrator. So just want to note that the service provider could probably tell them up front that they should be eligible, but it's the TPA that actually administers that decision and gives the ultimate approval or denial on that. And again, both the customer and the service provider would be notified of that. And then the other piece was around what is the reimbursement process for service providers. And the reimbursement process is spelled out in the General Order 153, Section 9.7. Essentially, at a high level, the service providers will submit their claims to the Communications Division for review. The Communications Division reviews it to determine what should be approved, the amount to be paid. And then once the claims are approved, they will issue and prepare payment letters that get paid out. The details of that I won't go into because the service provider will end up getting that onboarding with specifically how they should submit their claims, which could differ depending on if they have access to our electronic system or not. So the way that they submit it, the method might be a little bit different, but the process overall is going to be the same. But each service provider will get those details separately.
Hey, thank you, Loy and Lisa. We really appreciate the partnership PUC, and you guys are doing an amazing job on this program. Particularly, I know there were a lot of claps in the audience. I know there were 2 advice letters last time you came, and to see like the response from providers is really exciting, because I know folks here are eager to promote and help people enroll in the program. I want to summarize. We're running a little late on time. There's 2 questions, and so forgive me. The I think in relation to the website and the program itself, folks are wondering about what kind of support there might be for folks who either struggled with English or have limited proficiency in English.
Lisa, did you want to?
Sure.
TPA?
Yes, so we actually have the call center at the TPA, and if they're looking at that provider search link that Loy posted, there is information that they can say, contact us, and they'll get the phone numbers that they can contact. But the TPA offers about 11 languages that they can support in. And if for some reason someone's language is not covered, they will get another party on the line to help with translations.
Great. Thank you for that. And let me see. There's a question about, we know you guys are really busy. Do you guys have capacity to do presentations about the program to outside groups?
Yes, they can reach out to us, and we would be happy to take a look at it and see if we're available, and we'll be happy to provide presentations.
We love it when you guys come, and you're always welcome to come here. If there are any questions that weren't answered, we'll make sure to send them over to you, and we'll have you back. But thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Loy and Lisa. I know there's technical difficulties, so thank you for answering all of the questions and really being responsive to the pre-registration that came in. Next, I would like to introduce Manager James Spencer to give a quick update on the request for innovative ideas.
Yeah, thank you, Anne. We can go ahead and get to the next slide, please. Ricky, can you skip to the next slide, please?
It might be frozen, James. We'll try to fix this on our end.
Got it. So here you would have seen our 7 or problem or challenge areas where we identified through the Broadband for All Action Plan, State Digital Equity Plan, and Capacity Grant Planning process as strategies or key activities that can assist our ecosystem partners to support California residents. Each challenge includes clear outcome targets to ensure accountability and impact. Next slide, please. So quick update on the process. We launched on January 5th and held an innovator conference on January 9th. We extended the close date for a week, so it closed today at noon. We're really encouraged by the participation and looking forward to reviewing the concept proposals that were submitted. Next slide, please. And so for those who are curious, here's a snapshot of the full timeline. The timeline represents or is available on California Contract Register. It'll also be posted online with the slides. Because this is an open solicitation, we cannot discuss the ideas or the vendors that submitted at this point. That concludes my update. Back to you, Ian.
Hey, James, I know we're not taking questions, just real quick, just so we can kind of, is there any information you can give us about the kind of response that was received to this?
Yeah, so as of now, it looks like we've received over 30 ICPs or concept proposals.
Oh, that's great. Cool. Thanks for sharing that with folks.
But back to you, Ian.
Thanks, James. I also would like to bring back Manager Araceli Hernandez to talk more about upcoming grant opportunities.
Thank you, Anne. Hi, everyone. So as part of our ongoing updates and requests from stakeholders, I'll be sharing some grant opportunities along with some upcoming key deadlines. Next slide, please. Next slide. Apologize, we are having a few difficulties. So the first grant that I'll just go ahead and get started with is the Public Utilities Commission California Advanced Services Fund programs. So there's various accounts that we wanted to highlight today. The first that we wanted to make you aware of is a Broadband Consortia account. This will facilitate with grant applications, with infrastructure and federal funding account. The deadline is coming up next month on February 20th. The second one is the Tribal Technical Assistance Program for California tribes and tribal consortia, focusing on voice, on deadline for this one is April 1st. The third is a broadband adoption account. This focuses on digital literacy, on broadband access, and community spaces such as schools, libraries, and nonprofits. The deadline here is July 1st. And last but not least is the public housing account. This supports farm worker housing, mobile home parks, multi-dwelling units, as well as tribal housing to build networks to offer free broadband. Again, the deadline for this one is also July 1st. And you'll see that we did add QR codes at the very bottom of each account. Feel free to scan these and it'll direct you to the CPUC website for each of the accounts. And that way you can read through more information and details there. Next slide, please. And again, my apologies, we are having some technical difficulties. Then in the next slide, I did want to highlight the Digital Divide Grant Program. The CPUC is currently accepting applications for round 3, offering a total of $200,000 in grants for broadband, for devices, as well as digital skills training. One grant is up to $100,000 for low-income rural or urban schools. And there's also 2 grants that are available up to $50,000 each for community-based organizations. The focus areas here are for broadband, for devices, as well as digital skills training with an upcoming deadline of February 12th. And again, the QR code is on the right-hand corner there if you would like to read through that for more information. Next slide, please. And here's a reminder, this is the NTIA Tribal Broadband Connectivity Program. They are having an upcoming notice of funding opportunity that's going to be launched in the spring. They have approximately $500 million in estimated funding. This is available for infrastructure and adoption. And again, this does have a QR code as well. Next slide, please. So we will pause here and I will turn it back over to Anne. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks so much. And I know we're a little bit tight on time, so I will skip our questions and hold it till the end. As for my portion for looking ahead, I wanted to first thank everyone for sticking around and also providing us such helpful community feedback through your pre-registration questions. It means a lot to us as what you shared really help us make our community of practice meetings relevant and topics top of mind for you all. So just a quick summary, we asked 3 questions and you all provided more than plenty. So a quick summary for DE topics include affordability, devices, digital literacy, digital navigators, workforce, supportive services, and AI, as well as recommendations for future speakers, including our governor, Sunny McPeak, Sabrina Romanov, Mark Cuban, Valley Vision, Andrew, and for improvement and comments, definitely requests for actionable grants and funding information, accessibility needs, which we hope we addressed earlier on in this meeting with closed captioning, as well as what Araceli just shared just now regarding upcoming grant opportunities. So we really hope you continue to provide feedback on our pre-registration questions and help us make this an experience that's inclusive and collaborative for all of us. Next slide, please. And so I just want to highlight the next few meetings that we have on the calendar. Our February meeting is on Thursday, February 26th, 2026, starting at 10:30. Already really excited to invite Ms. Sunny McPeak, President and CEO of CETF, as well as Dr. Amy Gonzalez, the Associate Professor at UC Santa Barbara. To our right here, you'll see all of our upcoming meeting dates for the rest of the year. And so every month we will send out a registration for you to save the date and to join us on Zoom. So with that, I would also like to remind folks that, we invite you to submit content for Community Spotlight, as well as recommendations for speakers, and uplift the great work that is happening out there in our DE ecosystem. I know work is happening every day. You all are working so hard, and we want to celebrate all of our accomplishments. So with that, next slide, please. I will take questions if there's any in the chat. Thanks, Scott, for answering the ones in the chat. I don't see any or hand raised, so going to the next slide.
Yeah, just real quick, I wanted to a statement on I echo Anne's gratitude for all the feedback and suggestions that folks are bringing to the table. Just want to level set. We'll do our best to try to bring in guest speakers that are suggested, but some might be outside of our range. So just wanted to let you know that.
Thank you for that, Scott. And yeah, just want to say, if you have any questions for us, feel free to send it towards broadbandforall@state.ca.gov. Our website is broadbandforall.cdt.ca.gov, where you can find all past event information, as well as subscribe to our monthly email update, where we will summarize this meeting and other great work happening in California. So with that, I conclude our meeting. Thank you so much for joining us.